It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Broadcasting from coast to coast.
City to city, coast to coast.
It's time for the Ryan Hickey Show on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. If it's happening in sports, it's being talked about right here. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Good Monday morning and good Labor Day morning. And welcome into the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Week number 2 of the brand new, redesigned, rebranded, renamed Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. But do not worry. If this is your first time tuning in, first of all, welcome. Welcome to not only the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, welcome to the Ryan Hickey Show with your host, yours truly, Ryan Hickey. We appreciate you tuning in. If you're a big Morning Boys fan, no worries. The show is still the same. The host is still the same, just a different name. That's all, to create a little less confusion, but having multiple boys in the name with only one host. But don't worry, we are back. It is the Ryan Hickey Show, week number 2. Very excited to be with you here, and very excited and very thankful that you were joining us on this Labor Day Monday. Hopefully, whatever weekend plans you had, going to the beach, having a barbecue, laying out on the back porch, going to hike, doing whatever you can outside, enjoying the last remnants of summer. If you live in a place in the Northeast like I do here on Long Island, where summer is fleeting, it is not nice all year round. Hopefully, you were able to spend some of this weekend or most of the weekend outside, doing whatever some activities that you like to do, because unfortunately, we sit here on September 7th, summer's over. As a big summer fan myself, it is always depressing this time of the year, made a little bit easier by the fact that college football and the NFL are starting up. So that's always a nice little, the summer, summer's over, no more beach time, but hey, we get college football, we get NFL football. It makes it a little easier to digest, a little easier to get over. But if you're a fan of the Big Ten like I am, there's no college football. But still, we still have college football coming out this weekend, especially the ACC kicking off. So some big-time college football finally getting underway. And the NFL, 3 days away from opening night, Texans at Chiefs. Insane to think about. So we do have a lot to get to today. I'm very excited for this show. Labor Day, still have a ton to get to. So hopefully, if you're charged up, whether you watch a lot of NBA playoff games, whether you're fired up for the NFL season, or you're fired up for the college football season, we got a lot to cover. Love your thoughts, either on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, WWSRN_radio. That is the initials of the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, in case the letters got confusing, although I kind of bunched together. So WWSRN_radio, or you want to tweet me personally at Ryan Hickey Show. Like I said, a lot to get to. Deshaun Watson, the latest quarterback to get paid over the weekend, 4-year, $156 million extension. He is now the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL, behind only Patrick Mahomes. In 15 minutes, we discuss, is Deshaun Watson worth the money? Is he worth it? It's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. He's getting paid more money than Tom Brady, than Russell Wilson, than Lamar Jackson, than Drew Brees. Any great quarterback that you think's out there right now, outside of Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson is getting more than in this deal eventually when it kicks in. Is he worth the money? We'll discuss in 15 minutes. 9:40 with college football starting. I understand also we've had a few college football games the last few weeks. So technically, sure, this is not the first weekend of college football. But I want to say this topic, and I want to kind of really get into more college football topics this week, because finally the Power 5 is starting. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to see Memphis playing over the weekend. It's nice to see Army playing over the weekend. Especially this past weekend on Labor Day weekend, there's some bigger games. Tonight you have BYU Navy, which honestly I'm locked into. I'm pumped up for. Really the biggest matchup and the best matchup we've had so far. BYU Navy, 8 o'clock tonight, ESPN. So I'm pumped. But this weekend we finally have some real college football to talk about. The ACC is kicking off. The SEC and the Big 12 are right around the corner. So we are closing in on real big-time college football getting played. So with that said, we're going to have a season. Whether the Pac-12 and the Big 10 play, it seems like they're not going to. The Big 10 is trying to figure out something. But it seems time's running out on them to at least play this year and get into the college football playoff. So we will have a college football season. We will have a college football playoff, knock on wood, that we get through the season with 3 Power 5 conferences playing 2 out. So does the champion, whoever it is. Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, LSU, Florida, whatever champion you want to crown, you want to debate upon who you think will win this year. Do they deserve an asterisk? Because unlike the major sports with the NBA, obviously they have the bubble and they have the 4-month layoff. Major League Baseball playing essentially a third of their season, right? They go from 162 games to 60 games. Hockey, same thing with the NHL. You have a long layoff and now you're in a bubble. So each major sport that we've seen resume so far has had different intricacies, different variations of their season, but everyone is playing. It's not like you have the NBA resuming and the Clippers and the Bucks aren't playing. College football is the one sport where, for the most part, everything's going to remain the same. Sure, you're going to have less fans in the stands, but you're going to be playing home games. You're not in a bubble. You're going to have even some fans in the stands. But the weirdness, the weird part, is that you're not going to have good teams playing. Ohio State, number 2 in the AP poll, not playing. Penn State, number 7. Oregon, number 9, not playing. So does the champion deserve an asterisk? I'll tell you that when my thoughts are in about a half hour, 9:40. Top of the second hour. The NFL season is here. Whether we are ready for it or not, it's here. So we will preview the season. I'll give you my playoff picks and division winners on Thursday. I really want to kind of get into a big deep dive of the NFL preview on Thursday, but I want to kind of also supplement a little preview today. My top 5 questions with answers. So the top 5 storylines, the top 5 questions I have going into the season at 10 o'clock Eastern. Also, I'll give you my answer to each question I have. We'll see if I'm right at the end of the year. We'll get your biggest question. What is your biggest question heading to the NFL season? We'll do that in just about an hour. And we all have those friends. We all have those relationships where one person breaks up with the other, and then you hear it's mutual. We both decided to go separate ways. We both decided it would be better if we see other people. But in the back of our minds, whether they want to say it or not, we know it's not mutual. Definitely Sally broke up with Jim. Jim's saying it's mutual. We all know Sally broke up with him, or vice versa. I do have one breakup that I want to talk about that's getting talked about from one angle. One angle, not ankle. One angle. Where there's a glow up for the quarterback. But how come we're not paying attention to the head coach? This breakup, what if this breakup actually truly is mutual and both are benefiting from seeing other people from going separate ways? I'll tell you what that is at 10:20, because this, I'll say what it's a coach. This coach is really getting a major glow up, really seeming to be free for the first time in his career. I'll tell you who this coach is and why we should be paying more attention to it. And if this translates to more wins on the field, that will be in just about an hour and a half or so at 10:20 Eastern. But I do want to start with some NBA. And just a reminder, because with the new show, the Ryan Hickey Show, also a brand new studio sponsor, because we are coming to you live in color, on this Labor Day Monday from the Big Italy Pizzeria Studios. So now, whether it's great pizza, hot heroes, or phenomenal dinners, check out Big Italy Pizzeria either in person if you're on Long Island in Medford, or online, because obviously, as we know, everything's virtual. BigItalyPizza.com. So I do want to get into some NBA talk here to start the show, because we had some interesting developments over the weekend. Friday night, Bucks down 2-0 going against the Heat. Big shot here for Giannis and the Bucks to avoid a 3-0 hole. As we know, no team in NBA history has ever overcome a 3-0 deficit. Ever. Never. So a 3-0 deficit is the death sentence. Especially for a team like the Bucks, number 1 seed in the East, championship aspirations, trying to make up for last year, coming up short after going 2-0, up 2-0 against the Raptors, losing 4 straight. You have the back-to-back MVP in your team in Giannis. A series you can't lose. Really, it's finals or bust for this team coming into this year. Reach the finals, try to face LeBron, try to face the Clippers, one or another, try to get the win. But the floor for expectations this year for Milwaukee was finals or bust. And of course, because Milwaukee is a smaller market, because they really have a superstar in a smaller market, with the Heat winning Game 3, going up 3-0, what was the talk? Where's Giannis going? Is he going to force his way out this year because he has 1 year left on his contract? And essentially, did the Bucks screw up their championship window with Giannis on the team? But to me, I'm looking at this Bucks team, and honestly, I wanted to get on that train. I was doing a lot of research. I was reading a lot of articles about, okay, what are the reasons why the Bucks are down 3-0? And now, obviously, they did win yesterday, so they're down 3-1, but they're in a massive hole. So let's just go with the assumption, especially with Giannis twisting his ankle yesterday again. Maybe he won't be able to play. If he does play, we'll see how much he'll be percent-wise. But barring a miracle, the Bucks will be eliminated in the second round. Right? I think we can all say that. Barring an absolute miracle, something we've never seen before, the Bucks would get bounced in the second round whether it's a finals or bust season. And now, of course, the questions and concerns are, one, is Giannis the main guy to lead a team to a championship? You had NBA pundits comparing Giannis to Scottie Pippen, saying he's not the one to lead the team to the finals. He's not the one to put the team on his back and lead the team to a championship. You have questions about, all right, where's Giannis going? We already see polls out there. Is he going to Golden State? Is he going to the Heat? Is he going to the Knicks? What other team could he go to try to win a championship? Because that's what the NBA has become now. The NBA has become more about what happens off the court than on the court. If a superstar can't win in the market, it's the market's fault, and thus he has to go somewhere else to try to win. All right, this obviously first started with Kevin Durant. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. It first started with LeBron James, going from Cleveland to Miami, and now he kind of paved the way, opened the door for more superstars. If they are in smaller markets or they don't like the way their team is being constructed, they can leave and go somewhere else. But looking at this Bucks team, trying to read up on what is the biggest reasons they're down 3-0? What are the biggest reasons why 2 years in a row now it seems like they haven't been able to get over the hump in the playoffs despite having the more talented team? Right there, the more talented team against the Raptors last year, they're more talented against the Heat. But both times, last year and now it seems this year, they're going to lose to inferior teams with the MVP on their team. But looking at the Bucks, trying to pinpoint actual reasons for their failure, trying to pinpoint reasons for Giannis being the reason why the Bucks can't get over the hump, or the Bucks not putting a great team around them. To me, the championship window for Milwaukee is now closed. Assuming they get bounced this year, next year I think they come back and are still the favorites in the East. Still have a legitimate shot to get to the finals, still have a chance to win the finals. Their issues aren't as dire as they appear on the surface. Because what do you have? Let's talk about what you have first, and then we'll talk about what they don't have. What you do have, a back-to-back MVP. Giannis still working on his game, still, as you can see, needs to work on his shooting. He needs to get more consistent, not only from the three-point line, but more importantly from the free throw line. Those struggles are really starting to pop up here and really starting to hurt Milwaukee. The threes, fine, he's not a great three-point shooter. He's taking them more to keep you honest. But the free throws, when you're driving, when you're Giannis and you're so reliant on getting to the rim, you have to make your free throws. But you have a back-to-back MVP. Rarely happens in the NBA with a guy who still can build on his game. The Bucks as a whole, led by Mike Budenholzer, with this roster currently constructed, best record in the NBA the last 2 seasons. Best record. Best record last year, best record this year. That's not a fluke. So a lot of people are calling for massive changes, whether it's Mike Budenholzer to be fired, whether it's Giannis to force a trade somewhere, whether it's the Bucks basically to try to recoup as much as they can, and should they trade him. To me, the championship window is still open. Milwaukee should run it back with a slight change. There's no reason for me Giannis should feel the need to leave. There's no reason why the Bucks should feel like they can't win a championship with Giannis as their number one. The biggest hole that I see that the Bucks have that could make the world of difference sounds simple to me, and that's just a playmaking point guard. Someone who can create their own shot, force the defense's hand, make a play, and thus put other players in positions to succeed. Because you know why? At the end of the day, it's a guard league now. The NBA is transformed, and it's officially a guard league. And what do the Bucks really lack? Their MVP is a big man, a 7-footer. He's athletic. He can create on his own, don't get me wrong. But the Bucks really lack a point guard that can create for himself, and in doing so, take some pressure, take some attention away from Giannis to open up some shots for him, open up some shots, for his teammates. Because whether it's Eric Bledsoe, whether it's George Hill, they're nice players. They're decent players. They aren't they aren't scaring the daylights out of the defense. They aren't creating. Defenses aren't game planning to try to slow down Eric Bledsoe or George Hill. They're not. George Hill is deadly from 3. That's about it. He's a catch and shoot kind of guy. Let's look at the landscape of the playoffs right now. Look at all the great teams remaining. What do they have in common? Great guards. The Heat, the ones giving the Bucks trouble right now. Jimmy Butler will put him in that point guard category, especially late, carries the ball up. Goran Dragic. No answers so far for either from the Bucks. Kemba Walker has been great for the Celtics. Kyle Lowry's been a leader for the Raptors. Go to the West. LeBron James is essentially a point guard. So he's been great for the Lakers. He's been kind of carrying that mantle for point guard for Los Angeles. Russell Westbrook, James Harden, great dynamic duo there for Houston. You see they're starting to give LA fits. Jamal Murray for the Nuggets has been going off. All these teams remaining that have success have great guards, specifically point guards. The Bucks don't have that. That's the one area they're lacking. If you can add a point guard, nothing crazy because we have Goran Dragic on this list. You don't need a superstar caliber point guard to make the big difference. Again, you already have that superstar player in Giannis. You need someone to supplement his strengths. Chris Middleton's a nice player. He's an all-star caliber player that looks to be his ceiling. He's shown flashes like yesterday when Giannis goes out to take over a game. Chris Middleton's issue is he's too inconsistent. He is way too inconsistent to really have defenses game plan heavily for him. And as we've seen, the Bucks are not built to come back. The Bucks are built to get out to an early lead and then stifle you with defense. Hope you get desperate. They clog up the rim. They force you to take bad shots, and that's how they win. But if they get down, they can't come back. Part of the reason why they don't have a playmaking point guard. To me, that's the biggest thing and the biggest reason why I still like Milwaukee. I still like the way they're currently constructed for the most part. To run it back next year, don't fire Mike Budenholzer. Don't trade Giannis. Try to obviously extend Giannis as much as you can. Obviously, I know the Bucks fans are very concerned that he might leave. But if I'm Giannis, I have just as good of a championship right now in Milwaukee than I do with Golden State, than I do with the Heat. I think if you add a point guard, I really do like what Milwaukee has. Yeah, look, their defense needs to improve because right now their defensive mindset is to guard the rim and guard the paint. They will give up threes. And guess what? The NBA right now, especially in the playoffs, teams will take it. The Heat are killing Milwaukee with the three. So change your defensive mindset. This sounds easy. Play your best players more. Mike Budenholzer was talking about how 35 minutes is a ceiling. He feels like that's enough minutes with how intense the playoffs are. He doesn't want to push them anymore. Well, Mike, I'm sorry. You got to play your players more. You got to play them into the 40s, especially when you're down. You can't afford to have Giannis sitting on the bench, sore ankle or not, and watch Jimmy Butler take over the fourth quarter. You can't do it. So to me, I look at the way the Bucks are constructed. I think they have enough. Just a point guard. Just add a point guard. And there's no reason then for Giannis to try to force his way to Miami or force his way to Golden State. I think Milwaukee has what it takes to run it back next year, be right there at the top, and make a serious run for the finals. So it looks dire, or it doesn't look good right now, I should say. I'm sure the 5-alarm fire for fans in Milwaukee are blazing, are raging right now because fans, I'm sure, are panicking. Giannis is going to force his way out. He's going to leave. You hear all the rumors. He hasn't signed a max contract extension yet. I'm hoping and I want Giannis to stay in Milwaukee. I think it's the NBA's best interest for him to stay with the Bucks. I think that the pieces are there. It's not as dire as people are saying. There's a legitimate window still wide open for the Bucks and Giannis to burst through, capture, and try to bring a title back to Milwaukee. So I'm curious. We see what happens. The Bucks are down 3-1. Second year in a row, they have fallen short in the playoffs. Again, barring a miracle, barring something we've literally never seen before in the NBA playoffs. So with that said, do you think in your mind, can Giannis win a title in Milwaukee, or does he have to go elsewhere? Can he be a number one piece somewhere and still win a title? I think so. I do think so. He struggled, yes. But you know who else has struggled that's played really well? In a different sport at least, or even, we'll keep it here. LeBron James had playoff struggles early in his career. And Giannis is still pretty young. Giannis still has a lot of room for growth, and I said he still has areas he can improve his game upon. So I'm rolling the dice if I'm Giannis. I still think there's a lot to prove here, a lot to win. In Milwaukee, I think they have the best chances ever to give Giannis a title and put him in contention. So do you think Giannis can win a title in Milwaukee? Can he be the number one piece for a championship caliber team? We're taking your thoughts on Giannis Antetokounmpo. With the Bucks down 3-1, trying to stave off an embarrassing elimination. They'll play again tomorrow. We'll see if Giannis can even suit up and play with his sore ankle that he hurt again yesterday. We're taking your thoughts on Giannis, and when we come back, big NFL news of the weekend. We had a few players get extended. The major one, Deshaun Watson, Houston Texans quarterback, gets a massive extension, now the second highest paid quarterback behind Patrick Mahomes. Is he worth the money? I'll tell you my thoughts next. It is the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show. Right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we are back here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network talking some basketball, talking some hoops. Can Giannis win in Milwaukee? I say yes. A lot of people are jumping off the ship, crushing Milwaukee, crushing Giannis, saying he can't win a championship by himself. He can't win a championship in Milwaukee. He better go somewhere else, Golden State, Miami, if he wants to have a ring. I say let's pump the brakes. Giannis can win in Milwaukee. Stay there. Add a point guard. That's it. One fix. Add a point guard. Not a superstar level point guard. Not an all-star level point guard. A serviceable, a little bit above average point guard. That's all. Someone who can create their own shot. Put some pressure on the defense. Open up some shots for Giannis. Open up outside shots for the three-point shooters that they have. That's it. Now I think Giannis and Milwaukee can run it back, and they have as good as anyone. As good as any chance, Terrible English there. Good thing I don't host a radio show or want to do this for a living. They have as good a chance as any next year running back to see if they just add a point guard. So we're saying, can Giannis win a championship in Milwaukee? Can he be the number one piece on a championship caliber team? We'll take your thoughts. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Twitter, WWSRN_radio, WWSRN_radio, or tweet me, the source, at Ryan Hickey Show. Ryan Hickey Show. Nice and easy. Just look at the name of this show, Ryan Hickey Show, at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter, at Ryan Hickey Show on Instagram. If you're on the gram, throw me a follow. We'll put a lot of show stuff out there as well, but also do some more behind the scenes. We'll have a little more fun on Insta. I think that's what Insta's for. Twitter, at least to me, in the sports industry, is a little more business. Fun, but business. Instagram will have a little more fun, break a little more rules. Ryan Hickey Show on Instagram, Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter. So I said, the big NFL news of the weekend, heading into the first week of the season. Deshaun Watson getting absolutely paid. 4-year, $156 million extension. He will now be in Houston for the next 6 years. And more importantly, just behind Patrick Mahomes, who signed that massive $500 million total value contract a few months ago. Deshaun Watson is now the second highest paid quarterback in all the NFL. All the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, any highly paid quarterback that's out there. Ben Roethlisberger. Deshaun Watson is above all of them except Patrick Mahomes. So that just begs the question. We'll keep it very nice and simple here. Is Deshaun Watson worth the money? Is he worth getting the second highest paid quarterback tag? Is he worth that money? Is he worth that hype? To me, the answer is yes. The answer is absolutely yes. I love this deal from the Texans. I think Deshaun is absolutely worth the money, and I have a few reasons why. Number one, does any quarterback in the NFL honestly do more with less? We talked about Nick Nurse a few weeks ago, why I thought he was the best coach currently in the NBA. And one of my reasons for that was because of all the success he had with the little town he had. He's done more with less, especially this year, with that Raptors team than any coach to me in the NBA. I will put Deshaun Watson in that same category for quarterbacks. Has any quarterback done more with less weapons? He had DeAndre Hopkins, a bona fide number one elite wide receiver, don't get me wrong. But he had crap behind him. He had nothing behind him. You had Will Fuller, who is talented. I like Will Fuller. I watched him a lot at Notre Dame. He can take the top off the defense. His issue is he plays 7 games a year. Will Fuller plays 2 games, and he always gets hurt right after a big game. He'll have 5 catches, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, boom, gets hurt with a hamstring injury, out for the next 4 weeks. So you could pencil Will Fuller in for 7 games a year. So he can't stay healthy. The tight ends, flat out stink. The running backs, flat out stink. And the ones that are good get hurt. So outside of DeAndre Hopkins, it's been a mash unit for the last 2 years for Deshaun Watson. Now, okay, you're already playing with basically one hand tied behind your back because your weapons aren't great. They can't stay healthy. Now, Let's put both hands tied behind your back. Because guess what? Let's take DeAndre Hopkins, the only reliable, healthy, durable wide receiver you have on the team. Let's get him out of here. Screw it. Trade him. Get his ass out of here. Let's bring in David Johnson, a running back who can't stay healthy. Perfect, just what the Texans need. Let's sign Brandon Cooks, a wide receiver that can't stay healthy. Perfect, just what the Texans need. And now you go into 2020 with the wide receiving core of Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, Kenny Stills. I'm putting the over-under right now of those three being on the field and being healthy at the same time for 3 games. 3 games. I'll give a 3 out of 16. Those three are suited up at the same time in the same game. Kenny Stills is the most durable, but Brandon Cooks has a history of concussions. And again, Will Fuller has so many soft tissue injuries that I lose count of. So his weapons he's had to throw to have been brutal. Brutal. That's not even the worst part. The offensive line he's been behind since he's got to the Texans in 2017 has been atrocious. Just absolutely awful. The biggest, they're talking about opening up the floodgates. That's what Deshaun Watson, every time he gets a snap, that's what he's been dealing with. He's been sacked, think about this, the last 2 years. So let's see. Quick math here. So he's played 16 games, obviously 2 years in a row. So that's 32 games. 32 plus 3 playoff games. He's played 35 games the last 2 years. I think he's missed a game or two. But let's just say 35 at the most, right? The most games he's played, 35 games the last 2 years. He's been sacked these last 2 years 111 times. Think about that. 111 sacks he's had the last 2 years. This offensive line is atrocious. And they are so desperate that they not only traded a large draft capital for Laramie Tunsil to bring him over for left tackle, they paid him basically. Tunsil held them over the barrel. They overpaid to make sure he stays there. So Laramie Tunsil's decent left tackle. I wouldn't say the best left tackle in the game, not by a long stretch. So you're overpaying him. You're piecing the middle of the line together. And it doesn't seem to be any better this year. So 111 sacks. The last 2 years, his offensive line has held up, has been blocking for Deshaun Watson. So to me, he's done more with less than any quarterback in the NFL because he still had success. Despite no one being behind DeAndre Hopkins, despite no one staying healthy, and despite the fact that their offensive line can't block for him, literally can't block for him. He's won double-digit games both years. He's won the division both years. And they won a playoff game this past year. Speaking of winning a playoff game, my number 2 reason why he's worth the money, he's a flat-out winner. He's a flat-out winner. Let's go back to college. Because he performs best on the biggest stage. That's where these players make their money. That's where having a game changer at the quarterback position really makes the difference. 2015 in Alabama, at Clemson, playing Alabama in the national title game. Nick Saban's defense having a great year. What does Deshaun Watson do? Throw for 405 yards, 4 touchdowns in the loss. Nick Saban, we saw something from Nick Saban that we've never seen before. Fear. He was so afraid of Deshaun Watson in that Clemson offense. He knew they couldn't stop Deshaun Watson. Then what did they do? They onside kicked the ball. They caught Clemson by surprise. They onside kicked the ball because they realized we're going to basically have to outscore them. And the less Deshaun Watson has the ball, the better. They got the onside kick. It worked out for them. Alabama wins that national title. Okay. Tough. You had that great magical season for Clemson. Easy to kind of let down your next year having some disappointment with high expectations. No. What does Deshaun Watson do? Comes back, goes back to the national title game, plays against Alabama and that Nick Saban defense again. And what does he do? He ups his yards, goes from 405 to 420. Throws for 3 touchdowns, including the game-winning pass. He leads the game-winning drive against a Nick Saban-led defense. There was a touchdown with 1 second left to win the national title. Winner. Let's go to the NFL. Admittedly, he struggled in that first playoff game against the Colts. Colts had a good game plan. They corralled him on defense. He couldn't get anything going to score 7 points. Next year, just this past year, he learned from that when the Texans seemed dead in the water against the Bills. I guess one of the best defenses in the NFL. The Bills had one of the best defenses in the NFL last year. And Deshaun Watson single-handedly leads that comeback in the second half. Single-handedly helps the Texans beat the Bills. I think you can make the argument, maybe outside of Patrick Mahomes, no other quarterback with the way that game is going wins that game, leads that comeback. That team was dead. That team was lifeless. And Deshaun Watson made a few plays with his legs, made a few great throws with his arm, and gave that team some juice in an incredible comeback victory. The next week against the Chiefs, let's just say this. He wasn't the reason why they lost. They're up 24-0 in Arrowhead. They weren't the reason why they lost. So when you look at, is a quarterback worth the money? Patrick Mahomes is yes, right? He's an outlier. He's worth every single penny. He's probably worth more than the $500 million that the Chiefs gave him. That contract is going to look very cheap very soon. But outside of that, there's not many quarterbacks that are even close to that level that are worth that amount of money. But Deshaun Watson is, to me. You look at guys that are going to come up next. Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, both on the pressers getting big paydays. What's the one area they struggled in so far? What's the one area they haven't really been able to overcome in the playoffs? Dak really hasn't been great in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson has struggled. He's 0-2. Lamar Jackson has laid the two biggest eggs of his career in both playoff games, against the Chargers 2 years ago and against the Titans last year. Deshaun Watson plays at his best when the stakes are highest. That's a guy you pay. That's a guy you pay a lot of money to. And third, so he's a winner. To me, he does more with less. And finally, being so young, going into his fourth year now, but third year fully healthy, there's still room for improvement. So despite all the success he's had, there's still areas he can improve. He could still become a better pocket passer. He can still work on his reads a little bit better. So if he's already this good, with room for growth, room to grow, room to get better, what's the ceiling on a guy like Deshaun Watson, honestly? Oh, what's the ceiling for him once he actually gets a head coach, or I really should say a general manager, a real general manager in there that actually wants to surround him with pieces? Instead of taking them away, he adds them. What's that going to be like? So to me, there's so much room for improvement to where you're still getting a deal because he's going to only get better. So I look at Deshaun Watson. His ability to improve, he plays the best when the stakes are highest, and he does more with less. This is the type of guy you pay. This is the type of guy you make one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. And you've heard in this show, I've been very hesitant to give Dak Prescott $40 million a year. To me, I don't think he's worth it. I think he is a sum of what's around him. Deshaun Watson is the exact opposite of that. While Dak has one of the best offensive lines in football, a great wide receiving core, a great running back, great skill positions around him, Deshaun Watson has none of that. Deshaun Watson has none of that and still has more success than Dak. The numbers might be a little bit better for Dak, sure. How about the wins? How about the playoff experience? How about the reason for teams winning? I can make the argument Deshaun Watson has had a hell of a bigger impact, has led to directly more wins than Dak Prescott can. So that's a guy I'm willing to give $40 million to compared to Dak Prescott, compared to even Lamar Jackson. So I love this contract by the Texans, and this is coming from a Colts fan who has to see Deshaun Watson twice a year now for the next 6 years at least. So I'm nervous because this is a guy you can't really game plan for, you can't control. And again, the biggest knock on Deshaun Watson so far is that his weapons are being taken away from him. That's it. So this is a move I absolutely love. This is absolutely the kind of quarterback you pay. So I love what the Texans are doing. Lock up Deshaun Watson, and good for Deshaun Watson keeping it only at 4 years. He's going to get 4 years, just about $40 million a year. Guess what? He's going to be back on the market in 4 years. And those salary caps are going to go up because those TV contracts are expiring soon, and they are going to get re-upped, and there's going to be a lot of cash heading into the NFL, similar to what the NBA, when their NBA contracts ended a few years ago, we saw the salary cap balloon. Remember when the Warriors were taking off, and that's why they're able to sign Kevin Durant? The same thing's going to happen in the NFL. And pretty soon, that contract Deshaun Watson has is not only going to look cheap, he's going to get back on the market in his prime, and he's going to have to renegotiate another deal with the Texans. So I absolutely love what Houston is doing. This is the kind of guy you pay. So I'm curious for you. I love it. But in your mind, is Deshaun Watson worth the money? Again, he's the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL now, behind only Patrick Mahomes. He's getting $40 million a year, so he's higher than Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, any great quarterback in the NFL that you think is at the top and should be in that elite category. Again, outside of Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson is making more than. To me, I love it. He's worth every penny. He's the kind of quarterback you pay. But I'm curious, in your mind, in your football watching mind, as you are a fan, as we get geared up for this 2020 season, is Deshaun Watson worth the money? So comment, whether on Facebook, Worldwide Sports or Network, tweet us at WWSRN_radio or at Ryan Hickey Show. Tweet me, let me know your thoughts. Right on Facebook, let me know your thoughts. We will discuss if Deshaun Watson, in your mind, is worth the money. And when we come back, college football, or I should say the NFL, is not the only thing starting this week. College football, big time, major college football starting this week with the ACC kicking off. Should there be an asterisk on whoever the college football champion is this year? I'll tell you why I say no when the Ryan Hickey Show, still getting used to it, when the Ryan Hickey Show returns right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we're back here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Caught myself off. I don't know what the hell I was just thinking. I was like, yeah, we'll come back here. And then I just hit the button. I'm like, no song to come back to. Don't even have the headphones on yet. Caught myself off guard, which I feel like it is pretty hard to do, catching your own self off guard, but I just did it. But we are back here on the Worldwide Sports Network. It is the Ryan Hickey Show with yours truly here until 11 a.m. Eastern. Talking, is Deshaun Watson worth the money? He is now the second highest paid quarterback in all the NFL, behind only the great Patrick Mahomes. Beth writes on Facebook, he definitely can just need some help. I couldn't agree more. I think about it. We've talking about all the success he's had already, and he still has really no one else around him helping him out. To me, the ceiling is high. That's why I'm buying into Deshaun Watson. Rich Fallon writes in, my guy Rich, love Rich, big Giants fan. Deshaun Watson or Danny Dimes, he asks. Then he's already getting ready for the top 5 questions. 15 minutes, top 5 and answers. Questions, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. Top 5 questions with answers for this NFL season that I'm looking forward to. He writes, the number one storyline, Danny Dimes for MVP. The Giants are a really interesting team. I'll get into this really quickly. Because Joe Judge, we talked to this on the show last week. If he is not, I don't really know what the right read is for Joe Judge. It is obviously different what he is doing out there in New York, right? His coaching style, his philosophy is very Bill Belichick-esque. And that, for the most part, we see does not work a lot in the NFL. A lot of coaches, when they try to bring Bill Belichick's style of coaching to their respective team, it does not work. And he is really going off the deep end. He's really kind of taking that Bill Belichick coaching style and taking it to the extreme. Doesn't call players by their name. Doesn't put the name on the back of the practice jersey because he wants players to identify other players based on the body type and the way they move. It's definitely very Bill Belichickian. And my concern is that if he's not, one, being authentic, players will see right through that as being a fraud. And two, if you assume, this is really the biggest issue with the Bill Belichick style of coaches trying to bring that style to their respective team. Players in New England, and the reason why it works in New England is because Bill Belichick won. He's had success, so that's the blueprint for success. Whether you're drafted there, whether you sign as a free agent, whether you're traded there, you fall in line because you realize, hey, this style of coaching works. Bill Belichick trades his good players. He gets draft picks and he turns those low draft picks into players because they buy in, they listen to what he says. That buy-in automatically is not there for these Giants players. Saquon Barkley or Daniel Jones isn't going to automatically look at Joe Judge with a lot of respect because, hey, he came from Bill Belichick's coaching tree. Players know the history. So will he be authentic or not? I know that's not really what Rich was talking about, Danny Dimes for MVP, but the Giants can be interesting. Offensively, I like what they have. I like the names. I like Daniel Jones. I like Saquon Barkley. I really like Darius Slayton. Sterling Shepard, if he gets healthy, is a great piece. Evan Ingram, same thing. If he gets healthy, he's a good tight end. Excuse me. What doesn't get me excited though, what has me pumping the brakes on a possible Daniel Jones MVP candidacy, let's see, because Lamar Jackson won in year 2 as a starter. Patrick Mahomes won in year 2. Daniel Jones going to year 2. That trend is kind of continuing. That's why a lot of people are picking Kyler Murray to be the MVP. What has me very concerned is the offensive coordinator, Jason Garrett. I don't feel confident that the Giants' offense will be lighting it up, will be explosive when The biggest issue for the Cowboys the last few years has been kind of opening up the offense, per se, playing aggressive at moments, and kind of letting the reins go. That's not what Jason Garrett does. So I'm interested to see what kind of step Daniel Jones has in year 2. I think he's honestly already surpassed expectations for me. I can't lie. The bar is pretty low. But I am nervous in terms of if we're making an MVP case here to pump the brakes, because the offensive coordinator is really not what you want if you want Daniel Jones to rip it, kind of let loose, throw it deep, and just kind of see what you got. But we'll talk more about those questions in just about 10 minutes. Again, top 5 questions with my answers of the NFL season coming up this week. And also, we always talk about how a breakup is never mutual. It's always someone breaking up with the other. And after that, there's always a breakup glow up, right? They break up, this person saying, I finally feel free for the first time. I could do whatever I want. I have a new lease on life. We're talking about it with one side of the breakup. We're not talking about it with the other. And I don't get why. I don't get why, because this coach arguably is having a better glow up than the actual player. I'll tell you what that is in just about a half hour, 10:20 Eastern. But I do want to get to college football quickly here. Does a college football champion deserve an asterisk? As we know, the Big Ten's not playing, the Pac-12 is not playing. And finally now, as you go into the second week of September, you have the ACC kicking off, you have the Big 12 kicking off. SEC will kick off at the end of the month. But finally, Power 5 football will be on our televisions as soon as Thursday. UAB at Miami. Thursday night. I hope you have the ACC network. Because if not, you're not watching any college football till Saturday. But with that said, we're going to have some college football. We'll see. Hopefully it finishes. But if so, if there's a champion crowned, if the college football playoff happens, you have the 4 teams, which I'll tell you on Thursday. I'll give you my college football playoff predictions, and national champion. I already have one team that I'm looking at that I don't see really listed anywhere. I'm really buying it. If I could buy stock into this team, if they were literally a stock, I'd put money in them. I'll tell you who that team is Thursday. I'm very excited about this team. But if there's a college football playoff that's played, if there's a champion crowned, does the champion deserve an asterisk? Because again, with the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12 playing, 9 of the 25 teams in the preseason AP poll, which included every single team, whether they're playing or not, 9 teams are not playing, including 3 in the top 10, right? You have number 2, Ohio State, number 7, Penn State, number 9, Oregon. 3 teams in the top 10 are not playing. Like I said, 9 of 25 teams ranked in the preseason AP poll are not playing. Decent chunk. So as we've talked about an asterisk with the NBA, because of the 4-month layoff, they're playing in a bubble, no home court. It's different. Major League Baseball, you're playing a third of the season, right? You're used to playing 162 games. Now you're only playing 60. 8 teams make the playoffs. We're not talking about an asterisk there with Major League Baseball. Hockey, same thing. They're in a bubble. No home ice advantage. You had a 4-month layoff. They had a new playoff format this year where you had 24 teams come in. You play round-robin series. You play play-in series to get to just the regular playoffs. Every major sport is different with one exception. Every team is playing. The NBA didn't resume with the Bucks and the Lakers not playing. Hockey didn't resume with the Stars and the Islanders not playing. Same thing with baseball. All 30 teams are playing in baseball. College football is the one exception to where you're playing games at home. Some fans will be even allowed in stands. So you have some, again, very minor, but some sort of home field advantage. You're playing at home. You're playing, for the most part, different, but a regular schedule. The season will feel, again, assuming the players can stay healthy, the season will feel relatively normal, college football-wise. They're not going to be in a bubble. We're going to see these home fields. We're going to see matchups that we're used to seeing. But the one difference is not everyone is playing. That's the one difference from every other sports league. Not every team is playing. Now, obviously, the biggest omission, number 2, Ohio State, a team loaded with talent. Some saying even better this year than they were last year, and they pushed Clemson to the brink. Maybe, one bad whistle away from going to the national title game against LSU. So does this winner deserve an asterisk? Does Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida, Texas, whatever team you want to throw in there, UCF, let's just get crazy, UCF. Do they deserve an asterisk because teams like Ohio State, Penn State, and Oregon are not playing? To me, the answer is no. The answer is no. And I'll be honest, I've gone back and forth on this issue a lot. And the one overriding piece of, or I should say opinion that I've heard that kind of, for me, cemented my mind into saying no, was this. Why are we going to penalize players and the schools for playing, or I should say, why are we going to penalize a championship when it's another league's decision, not theirs? So why is it Alabama or Clemson or Oklahoma's fault that Ohio State's not playing? Why should we ding them? Why should we kind of lessen their accomplishment if it's not their decision? Alabama didn't tell Ohio State not to play. Clemson didn't tell Penn State or Oregon, hey, guys, don't play. It's not worth it. We'll take it from here. We got it from here. You guys just sit this one out. We'll see you next fall. They didn't say that. So why is it their fault? Why should they get punished for a decision that was made by another conference that, frankly, at this moment, as we sit here on September 7th, doesn't appear to be the right one. We could be wrong. In a month, we could have no college football. It just gets too tenuous. You can't keep the outbreaks contained. Teams are getting sick left and right, and it's just one big mess. And then maybe in a month, the Big Ten looks right. We don't know. So far through the first 2 weeks of these lower schools that are playing, it's worked. So why are we going to I should say, lessen Alabama's accomplishment, Clemson's accomplishment, Oklahoma's accomplishment, whoever wins, because a decision made by another conference that they had no control over made this decision that they did in not playing? And think about it. College football especially. This is going to be the biggest hurdle, and this is going to be one of the hardest championships to win because it requires 100% buy-in from all 110, 120 players. Well, usually, for a championship team, all your best players are healthy, and your best players are better than everyone else. So you're not really relying on a fourth-string linebacker or a fifth-string wide receiver for the most part. This year you are. And it's not you're relying on them on the field. You're relying on them to do the right thing, not get exposed, and more importantly, don't bring the virus into the locker room. Trevor Lawrence can do all the right things for Clemson. He can go to his apartment, not hang out with anyone else, essentially quarantine and put himself in his own bubble. Don't go to class, do classes online, go right from the facility back to his apartment, and that's it. You can do the right thing week in and week out. But if the fifth-string quarterback or the third-string wide receiver decides, you know what, I'm not playing. I'm not going to see the field this year. Screw it. Why do I have to kind of follow the same rules? I'm going to go to a party this weekend. I'm going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to celebrate the win we just had. He goes to a party, gets sick, and now all of a sudden he's in the building, not realizing it, gets everyone else sick. It requires buy-in from the massive roster that college football has, over 100 players. You need all 100, 110, 120, however many you have on your team, to follow the rules and do the right thing. Which, especially for college kids, as we see already, with college kids resuming and just a normal student body going back to class, that is very hard, if not impossible, to do. Right? Schools are opening back up. Students are going back to campus, and what's happening? Massive gatherings are happening. Outbreaks are happening all over the country. So if a champion does get crowned, if we end up finishing the season, I'm sorry, there should be nothing to take it away. It stinks. And frankly, it sucks that teams like Ohio State, Penn State, my alma mater, a team I went to school, I obviously a huge, massive Penn State fan. It ripped my heart out that they are not playing this year. It hurts. It stings. It's frustrating. It's extremely frustrating watching teams like Austin Peay play football, but Penn State can't. Watching teams like Pitt and Temple in their own state of Pennsylvania play, but Penn State can't. So it's gut-wrenching. It's only going to get worse this weekend when you see the big-time schools resume. So it sucks teams like that. Teams like Oregon in the Pac-12, who had legitimate title aspirations, came with a preseason hype, can't compete for a championship. It sucks. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and say, you know what, Clemson, you won, but Ohio State didn't play, so we're going to put a little asterisk there next to you. You didn't deserve it. You didn't truly win it. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I'm giving Clemson, I'm giving Alabama, Oklahoma, Florida, Texas, Georgia, whoever you want to put in there as the champion, whoever you think will win the national championship. They deserve all the bit of credit, all the bit of praise that Clemson got in past years when they won, when LSU just this past year got when they won, when Alabama, with all their national titles that they won under Nick Saban. College football has always been a wacky sport where up until the college football playoff, you had either a computer deciding who's going to be in the national title game. Think about that. Think about that. We lived and died on computer rankings to determine who's the best team in the country. We then relied on different polls to tell us who's the champion. So media will vote in one poll, coaches will vote in another poll. Well, all right, well, the coaches have Alabama, the media has Clemson, so guess what? We're going to split the national title. Think about that. We've lived where two teams claim a national title in the same year. College football has always been a wacky sport. They've always been the weirdest, doesn't make any sense sport. But we've dealt with it. We don't look any differently on co-championships in the past than we do right now. So why is this year any different? So the NBA doesn't and shouldn't have an asterisk. Major League Baseball, despite playing a third of their season, won't have an asterisk. I don't think college football should have an asterisk. I really don't. Whoever wins will earn it. And sure, it sucks that we'll never know if Ohio State could have won. The talent was there. They had the team to win. But it's not Alabama's fault. It's not Clemson's fault. It's not Oklahoma's fault that the Big Ten made the decision that they did. They shouldn't be penalized for the Big Ten presidents not wanting to play, but their schools did. So to me, no asterisk. Whoever wins it earned it. And I don't want to hear about any of this, how it doesn't count, it's not the same. It's the same. So I'm curious your thoughts. Because again, all the professional sports leagues that have resumed, they've all been different, right? Bubbles, less of a season. It's all been different. But the one aspect is every team has played. Every team is under the same circumstances. So sure, the circumstances are different, but every single team is under those same circumstances. So in theory, everything's equal. Right? Everyone's feeling the same strain in the bubble in the NBA. Everyone doesn't have home court advantage. But because everyone has the same thing, everyone's facing the same circumstances, we deem it as equal. We deem it as, all right, whoever wins the champion actually earned it. College football, you will not have one of the best teams playing. A team that legitimately could contend for the title, and two other teams that were in the top 10 preseason-wise not playing. Even without that, to me, I view the champion, whoever wins this year, as absolutely legit. I'm curious your thoughts. Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio on Twitter, or at Ryan Hickey Show if you want to tweet me directly. Does the college football champion, whoever it is in your mind, and we'll tell you who it will be on Thursday, does the college football champion deserve an asterisk? Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio on Twitter, or at Ryan Hickey Show. When we come back, we'll get your thoughts on that. And the NFL season is 3 days away. We really haven't talked too much like NFL preview. We haven't dove into it too much in talking about the season. Partly because we really haven't watched any football, right? Practices haven't been open. No real video. You don't really hear much from practices. So with that said, I have a lot of questions. I boiled it down to 5 questions with my answers heading into this NFL season. I'll tell you what those questions and answers are next. It is the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we're back here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, hour number 2 of the Ryan Hickey Show on this Labor Day Monday. Hopefully, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you had a great Labor Day weekend. Kicking it on this unofficial last day of summer. Having a little barbecue, going to the beach, just enjoying the outdoors while you can. So unfortunately, winter is coming. Not to be depressing, but I have a little seasonal depression already kicking in. I can't deny. So enjoy it. Hopefully, you're having a great Labor Day weekend. Now, I do want to get. So we're talking college football playoff. Does the champion deserve an asterisk? Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Facebook. Lauren took the liberty of putting the Mets as 2020 champs with 1 million asterisks. I can promise you, Lauren, the Mets won't win. They have no shot to win. But if they do win, a miracle will happen. No asterisks there. It's all legit. Oh, I can't even say that seriously. So, does the college football champion, whoever it is, deserve an asterisk? Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio on Twitter, or also on Twitter at Ryan Hickey Show. Now, I do want to get into the top 5 questions with answers I had this season. But I'm just perusing Twitter, in between the breaks, trying to see if there's any breaking news. I stumbled upon this story, not sports related, but just kind of highlights it and goes back to my pure hatred of something that's really developed of society these past few years that just drives me crazy. Now, I'll say this. I'm 26. I am not married, no kids. So I really understand, it's obviously different once you become pregnant, once you start having kids, how special that is. So I'm not trying to poo-poo that at all. What I do get frustrated with, what I don't get, and I hope to never get, because I never hope to be one of these couples. Now, if you do it, I'm not hating you. I'm just saying this is not my personal preference. Gender reveal parties to me, I don't understand. First of all, can we not be surprised anymore? Like, honestly, what's so bad about waiting 9 months, watching the baby pop out, and then say, oh, is it a boy or a girl? Like, can we have a little element of surprise? For me, at least, I don't want to know if I ever do have kids. I don't want to know until literally I look down at the baby, boy or girl, what's going on down there? Okay, it's a boy, it's a girl. Cool. Nice little surprise. It was a nice little anticipation. But a very growing trend that's going on in this country is gender reveal parties. Never been a big fan. What I do love, though, thankfully for social media, is all these gender reveal parties that go wrong. Right? Balloons that you're supposed to pop that all of a sudden I've seen people let go of the balloon and the balloon flows away. You've seen people have like these powder guns that you're supposed to shoot off and it's going to either shoot off a pink mist or a blue mist and people get like shot in the face. Don't get hurt, but it's just funny to see all the color, either pink or blue, explode all over their clothes. Plenty of fails that go on for gender reveals that don't really go to plan that are funny. There's another one that happened that is actually dangerous. So it seems like yesterday in California, there was a gender reveal party. They're using some sort of explosive device to, I guess, either shoot off blue. I don't know what it was, but there's some sort of explosive device that was used that's supposed to indicate if it's a boy or a girl. Well, this explosive device has now caused a fire that's destroyed over 7,000 acres in California, forced the evacuation of 3,000 California residents. One gender reveal party has now caused 3,000 residents of California to evacuate their homes as forest fires are ravaging California. 7,000 acres have already been burned up, in the San Bernardino County. What are we doing here? Like, honestly, could we do less, please? Like, maybe a cake that has blue or pink inside if you really want to do something crazy. What are we doing with pyrotechnics? What, are we shooting off fireworks now? Again, I never understood the whole premise. I don't know why we have to have a party for everything. Think about it. You have a baby shower. I'm sure you have a party when the baby's born. You have a party when you find out you're pregnant. Not to mention, you have all the parties for when you get married. A bachelorette party. You have a bridal shower. You have an engagement party. You have the wedding. A lot of parties. And I'm not trying to poo-poo parties. I love parties. Love having fun. But gender reveals are something I never really understood. And now, as you see, gender reveals are really starting to get dangerous. 7,000 acres in California, all chewed up. All now fire because of a pyrotechnic, because of a gender reveal party gone wrong. So, America, if you're listening, if you're thinking about having a gender reveal party, please do less. The element of surprise is still fun. And if you're going to have a party, please do something that's not out of control. It's not extravagant. That's another thing issue in our country as well. We always try to one-up each other. Social media is always about how can we do the next biggest and brightest thing. It's always good, sometimes, but also sometimes that's a bad thing. As we see here, trying to use pyrotechnics for the next latest and greatest gender reveal party. Problem, I'm sure, hoping to get viral. Now they are viral for the wrong reasons. Poor California. Hopefully these forest fires slow down. But man, forest fires and being evacuated because of a gender reveal party. 2020, man. Just unbelievable. That would have been a fun 2020 apocalypse question, that's for sure. Did a gender reveal party cause the evacuation of 3,000 California residents? 2020 apocalypse. That is 2020. That is absolutely 2020. Wild. So now, let's back to sports, back to the NFL, back to something that hopefully we think goes to plan. And that is this NFL season. It starts on Thursday night. Texans-Chiefs. NFL Week 1 is less than a week away. Insane to think. This time next week, we'll be reacting to every single game that happened on Sunday. Insane. Overreactions coming. I can't wait for that. Week 1 is always a lot of fun, especially now. A lot of people will be watching a lot of overreactions to happen. But between now and then, what questions do we have? What do we not know what's going to happen this year that I'm really interested in seeing what's happening? 5 questions with my answers, at least, that I think it's going to happen coming out of this NFL season. No particular order, no particular tier, but just 5 questions I came up with that to me are the 5 biggest questions that are heading to this year. Number 1, can Cam Newton stay healthy? Honestly, if you listen to this show back when Cam Newton signed his deal with New England, I was very bullish on the fact that Cam Newton wouldn't even be the starter. I even questioned whether he would be on the roster. Obviously, that prediction, a little wrong. Just a tiny bit wrong. A little off on that one. Cam Newton named the starter. Cam Newton a captain for the Patriots. Missed that one. But part of the reason why I didn't believe Cam Newton would win the starting job was because I didn't, 1, buy he was completely healthy, and 2, I think he could stay healthy. And that's where my first question lies. Can he actually stay healthy? He's gotten through training camp. Now, I'm assuming he hasn't taken 1 hit at all in training camp, so staying healthy, I'm sure, is easy. Can he actually stay healthy when he's on the field taking hits in week 1? Because guess what? The Patriots' success is largely predicated on Cam Newton's health. He can still play. He's an MVP. He's shown when he's played, when he's healthy, he can still have it. 2 years ago in 2018, before he got hurt, he was actually pretty good. The Panthers were 6-2. He was flashing. He played well. Hurts his shoulder. Panthers lose every game the rest of the year. Plays 2 games last year, misses the last 14, mind you. He missed a full season worth of games the last 2 years combined. So, yeah, I'm skeptical that he can still stay healthy. He's proven me wrong already. He's won the starter's job. He's on the team. So I'm 0 for 1 in that prediction. But I am seriously concerned, and I don't think he's going to stay healthy. I really don't. Can he stay healthy? I say no. But that's what I'm really interested to watch, because if he stays healthy, the Patriots will be pretty good. They could win the division. But I don't buy that he's going to stay healthy. I really don't. I think he's due for an injury, especially with the way it sounds like the Patriots are going to try to use Cam Newton. This is a 1-year deal, mind you. This is not a franchise quarterback that they're trying to ease back in to have under center for 5, 7, 10 years. This is a 1-year prove-it deal. They're going to let the reins loose, because guess what? If they run Cam Newton to the ground this year, if they have success, they run Cam Newton 10 times a game, let's say. He's rolling with his legs. He's playing like the old Cam Newton that we're used to seeing. Guess what? He's going to get run to the ground, and if he gets hurt, really no skin off the Patriots' back. They move on. They find a different quarterback. It's a 1-year commitment. So you better think Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels are going to get the most out of Cam Newton in this 1 year. They're not going to be cautious. They're not going to ease the reins back or try to keep him healthy. They're going to try to win. Can he stay healthy? I say no. I have my doubts, but that's my number 1 question. Can Cam Newton stay healthy? If so, the Patriots will have success if he stays healthy. I'm not buying he can stay healthy. Number 2, a ton of third-year quarterbacks with question marks. Who will be the man to step up? Because all 3 have different levels of expectations, but all 3 second-year quarterbacks, their team needs to step up. Josh Allen, entering his 3rd year. The Bills have a great roster. The Bills have one of the best rosters in all of football. You look at their defense, talent at all 3 levels. They added Stephon Diggs to their wide receiver room to make him their number 1 wide receiver. I really like the Bills team as a whole. My biggest concern, my biggest worry about claiming or predicting them to be AFC East champions is Josh Allen. It truly is. I'm sorry. The way he reads the field sometimes, his accuracy, it's gotten better, but still a significant question mark. His decision-making scares me. And he has yet to prove so far that he can be the man to lead a team. In the playoffs, he played well for the first half. Once Deshaun Watson took over the game, Josh Allen had no answer. That Bills offense went dead. Can he be the reason the Bills have success this year? I think the Bills will win the division. Again, more to that Thursday. But I don't think it's going to be because of Josh Allen. I think he'll be improved. I think he'll be a marginal quarterback. But I think there will be some serious question marks of can Josh Allen lead this team to a Super Bowl, because every other piece right now there for the Bills is there. So can Josh Allen, as a third-year quarterback, step up? I have my question marks. Baker Mayfield, another third-year quarterback, the number 1 overall pick 2 years ago, heading to year number 3. Had a great rookie year, burst on the scene. He filled in for Tyreek Hill when he got hurt in that Thursday night game against the Jets. Had a great second half of the season in his rookie year. Regressed greatly last year in year 2. Expectations were sky high. They trade for Odell Beckham Jr. They have they pair him with Jarvis Landry. They have Nick Chubb. They have David Njoku. Skill position-wise, the talent was there. They signed Kareem Hunt. The expectations surely were there. There were some Super Bowl predictions. There were some Super Bowl predictions for the Cleveland Browns last year. The hype was real. People were buying into Baker Mayfield, and he just laid an egg. He fell flat in his face last year in year 2. Now, I think a lot of that has to do with Freddie Kitchens. So I believe of the 3 quarterbacks, I'll get into Sam Darnold here in a second. I believe Baker Mayfield's going to have the biggest jump of the third-year quarterbacks because Lamar Jackson, as we know, there's no real questions about him. He's the MVP. I'm leaving him out of this discussion, and Josh Rosen got cut by the third team in 3 years. Or, excuse me, looking for his third team in 3 years. So he's out, Lamar Jackson out. It comes to these 3 quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. I really do think Baker Mayfield's going to have a better year this year, like a lot better year this year. Better than his rookie year. I'm buying into what the Browns are doing. I like Kevin Stefanski as the head coach. I like what they're doing offensively. They address the offensive line because last year the offensive line was putrid. I'm buying into Baker Mayfield. I'm buying into the Browns here as a playoff team. So I think Baker Mayfield, out of those 3 quarterbacks, will be the one to step up. But Sam Darnold, the question for him is not can he be the man. Can he just honestly survive this season? That's honestly the bar I have set for Sam Darnold. I feel so bad for Sam Darnold. I also feel bad for Jets fans. Because usually now in the NFL with the way things are going, the third year is always the kind of the year you look forward to say, okay, can this guy take a jump? Can he really show that he is a leader of a team? And that's usually after year 3 is when players get that massive contract extension, i.e., look at Sean Watson, just what he got. Look at Patrick Mahomes, third year, look what he got. Third year is where you kind of decide, yes or no, this is our guy. The Bears and Mitchell Trubisky, after year 3, said he's not our guy. No fifth-year option for him. We're going to move on. He'll start this year, but we're going to look elsewhere for our long-term option. Sam Darnold will not get that chance this year. There's nothing, I don't think, that you could take away from this season that will show truly what Sam Darnold can have. The receiving core needed help. They addressed it, but barely. Brashad Perryman being your big-time free agent acquisition wide receiver. Denzel Mims, I thought, I like Denzel Mims. He's okay. I thought there's a lot better receivers you could have got. The offensive line is patchwork between a lot of backups that are now going to be starters. Le'Veon Bell, the coach, you have Adam Gase hates Le'Veon Bell. A real weapon at running back that you have the coach hate. I don't know what the hell to expect from Sam Darnold this year. When he was healthy, he looked good. He finished the year strong last year when he came back from mono and was healthy. But the offensive line is significantly has question marks. I'm concerned about if they can protect Sam Darnold. The wide receiving core is not great. I'm sorry. Tight ends, Chris Herndon is good when he's healthy. Can he stay healthy? He hasn't proven it yet. I feel really bad for Sam Darnold because to me, if Adam Gase, a coach on the hot seat, or if he has another bad season, I think the Jets will be bad this year. He could be on the outs. And then you're going to be going into another year with a new head coach, a new system learning, going to your 4th year where you got to decide, if you're Joe Douglas, is Sam Darnold going to be the guy moving forward? I still have a lot of hype. I still really like Sam Darnold. I think he has a lot of potential. I think the Jets have done everything possible to lessen that potential year after year. So my big question for Sam Darnold, can he just survive? Get through the year, play 14, 15, 16 games, have any modicum of success, because I really think the Jets have done everything possible to not have Sam Darnold have success. And can he just survive? So which third-year quarterback will step up to be the man? To me, Baker Mayfield is going to be the one. Baker Mayfield and the Browns, I am buying into, again this year. Fool me twice, shame on me. I bought into the Browns last year as a playoff team. They fell flat on their face at 6-10. I'm buying into the Browns again as a playoff team this year, this time because Baker Mayfield will be the reason why. Question number 3. I think this is a really interesting one. I think there's a lot of different answers. Who is the team to beat in the NFC? I think we all know in the AFC the team to beat the Chiefs. Right behind them is the Ravens. Those two are the class of the AFC. The NFC is deep, man. I think there's a legitimate argument you can make for the Cowboys, the Saints, the Buccaneers, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. If you want to throw the Vikings in there after this latest trade for Ngakoue, I can hear you. I like the Vikings roster, especially their defense. I have questions about their offense, especially with Kirk Cousins. But I'll listen out to you. I'll listen to you if you want to put the Vikings in. I'm not ready to do it, but 5 teams I think legitimately have an argument to say we are the team to beat the NFC. The NFC goes through us. Who is that team in my mind? Who's the team to beat the NFC? I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. MVP caliber quarterback in Russell Wilson, which I think this could be really the year Russ gets that award finally. At least gets a vote. How about that? Can we get Russell Wilson one MVP vote, please? Pete Carroll, can you please throw the ball first and not run the ball? Man, think about how good Russell Wilson would be if he had an offensive-minded head coach. Or even just Pete Carroll let him control the offense. Not run the ball on first and second down. Wait till the team's down 12-0 to realize, maybe we should start throwing the ball more often. But I like the weapons that Seattle has. DK Metcalf, better first year than I honestly expected. Tyler Lockett's solid. Those two get another year in the system. Offensive line is improving. They add Jamal Adams to the defense. I think, to me, Seattle, after coming close last year, after coming within inches of winning the NFC winning the NFC West and getting that number 1 seed over the 49ers, I think, to me, the Seahawks in 2020 are the team to be in the NFC. Number 4, this is just a general serious question that, honestly, I really don't have an answer to, but I'm more just throwing it out there to ask and see, because this is going to be one of the biggest storylines, if not the biggest storyline in all the NFL. What will be the threshold for canceling games be this year? Right, what is the number? What is the criteria the NFL has to say, you know what, we can't play this game this week? This team can't play. Pack it up. We'll try again next week. We'll try again in 2 weeks, but can't do it. Can't risk it. Too dangerous. Either because there's not enough players or because there's not exact clarity on who is sick and who is not. Major League Baseball did not have a precedent. They did not have a number. They did not have a threshold. So guess what? It changed weekly. The Marlins had 4 positives one day. They played the game. An outburst happened on the team. All of a sudden, next thing you know, 1 positive on the team shuts down a team. Mets had 2 players. Reds had, I believe, 1 or 2 players. They get shut down. The threshold changes by the day for Major League Baseball. We don't know what the NFL is. They didn't outline any or didn't give any outlines or protocols to say, this is what we're looking at. If we get this number, X number, we're not going to play. The Big 12 put out protocols. You have to have a certain amount of players healthy. You have to have a certain overall players at each position healthy in order to play that game. And if a game does get postponed, will they try to reschedule? Is it a forfeit? We don't know. The NFL did not really schedule much time to reschedule games. Right? The college football we see, there are certain bye weeks, there are certain flexible weeks where you can move back games in order to preserve them, in order to not cancel them. The NFL rolled out the schedule as normal. There's no built-in bye weeks for everybody to where, you know what, if you have a cancellation in week 2, we'll replay it again in week 13. There's nothing like that. So I'm interested to see what happens as a team lose out in the playoffs because they didn't have enough players healthy. They had to forfeit a game early in the year. We already saw the issues of false positives, right, that shut down teams that weren't actually sick. I'm just interested to see what is the NFL going to do when it comes to players and teams getting sick. And finally, Cowboys specific here. Because they're always the team we look at every single year. They're always the team we point to. We roll our eyes when the Cowboys hype train is rolling through. Their fans are pumped up. Some of the media is pumped up. This is the year the Cowboys are going to be really good. And what happens? Every year, they're 8-8, 9-7. And even when they're good, Dak Prescott's first year, they go 12-4. I believe 12-4, 13-3. They lose in the playoffs. The sum of the parts, can the sum of the parts equal the whole for the Cowboys? Because they have a great, great roster. Last year on this show, if you listen to the Morning Boys in October, November, December, I put a lot of the blame on Jason Garrett for the Cowboys going 8-8 and missing the playoffs. I really thought he was the biggest reason why. They had the pieces on offense, they had the pieces on defense, but week after week after week, they would play big games, especially in December down the stretch. They would play teams equal or better than them, and they would lose. They would lose, the offense would fall flat, Dak Prescott would struggle, and they missed the playoffs at 8-8 to an Eagles team that had a former college quarterback catching passes and catching big-time passes from Carson Wentz. The Eagles team was depleted with injuries, and they still beat the Cowboys, who were healthy, who were loaded. Is this the year, with Mike McCarthy now as the head coach, that they finally put it together and actually match their bark, right? The Cowboys and their fans love barking. They love telling you how good they are. Will their bite actually match up this year? I think it will. I think the Cowboys are going to be really good this year. They're going to win the NFC East. I think Mike McCarthy will bring some really added flavor, some added schematics to the offense. Make the Cowboys a really tough out. Really tough out. So those are my 5 questions for the NFL as we get ready for the season to start on Thursday. With my answers, we'll see how right they are. I'm not really used to being right, so we'll see. But can Cam stay healthy? I say no. Which third-year quarterback will step up to the band? I say Baker Mayfield. Who's the team to beat in the NFC? I said the Seahawks. What's the threshold for canceling games going to be? Honestly, I have no clue. That's the one I have 0 answers for. And can the sum of the whole equal the parts, or can the sum of the parts equal the whole, for the Cowboys? I say yes. This is the year they put it all together. So I'm curious your thoughts. What is your biggest question heading into the NFL season? So get your thoughts either on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, or at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter. And while you're there, throw us a follow. No big deal. So either at Worldwide Sports Network, WWSRN_radio, or at Ryan Hickey Show. What is your biggest question heading to this NFL season? We'll do that when we come back. We talk about breakups, right? We always talk about how it's never mutual. It's always one or the other. There's always some sort of glow up after. We're talking about the glow up from one aspect. How come the other party that was broken up with or was part of this breakup isn't getting the attention they deserve? I'll tell you who it is and why they deserve a lot more attention when the Ryan Hickey Show returns right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we're back here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is the Ryan Hickey Show every Monday, every Thursday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here, exclusively on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We appreciate you tuning in. If this is your first time tuning into the show, welcome. We'd love to have you more often. Again, every Monday and Thursday in the morning, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We do wish everyone a happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day weekend. Hopefully you're enjoying it, getting that last bit of summer activity. Beach, boat, barbecue, all the bees. Whatever you're doing, enjoy it. Enjoy. We deserve it. Everyone deserves it as we celebrate this last unofficial day of summer. So we've talked about Tom Brady dancing in the moonlight, right? I think that's fitting. So since the breakup in New England between Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, seems like, Tom Brady's had a major glow up, as we know, and as we see on almost every single breakup now that kind of happens. If you have friends that get broken up with, or you've been through a breakup yourself, there's different stages, right? The breakup happens. You always talk about it being mutual. Now, we both decided it's really not working out. We both decided it's best if we see other people. We go our separate ways. Deep down, you don't want to be mean, but okay, one way or another, for the most part, this is not mutual. Usually the person saying it's mutual is one that was broken up with. Let's just be completely honest here. Right? There's really no reason to say, it's mutual if you're the one who actually pulled the cord. So for the most part, there are exceptions, but for the most part, when breakups happen, usually it's one person breaking up with the other. And as we saw in New England, a breakup happened between Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Now, whether you want to say Bill Belichick didn't want Tom Brady back, wanted to move on, whether you want to say Tom Brady wanted to stay but didn't get the right contract, he wanted to go somewhere else before, show Bill Belichick he can win. Semantics. You can debate back and forth. But what usually typically happens in a breakup is that both go separate ways, and what do you do right away? You show you're single. You go on social media, you post some pics where you look really good. Maybe you make some sort of comment, but you really try to put it out there to let everyone else know, hey, I'm back on the market, I'm single. What has Tom Brady done this offseason? He's been on social media, posting pictures of him with his new Bucs teammates, posting pictures of him in his new Bucs uniform, living life, having fun, loving Bruce Arians, practicing with his teammates, loving his new teammates. Tom Brady has taken over social media and has let it known, hey, I'm having a lot more fun in Tampa Bay than I had in New England, excuse me. I am loving Tampa. I'm loving the life. I'm loving my new teammates. I love where I am. I'm winning this breakup. I'm the one who's having this glow up. I'm the one who's getting all the attention now in Tampa Bay. I'm the new hot thing, right? The Buccaneers are that shiny new object. We look at the Buccaneers. Oh, will they be really good? Super Bowl aspirations. Look at this team. Look at the weapons Brady's to throw to. Wow, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. He's really never had that 1-2 punch before. Now he had Gronk. Now he had Leonard Fournette. Wow, look at this team. They are the shiny object. We've talked a lot about Tom Brady. We've talked a lot about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this offseason. You know who we haven't really talked about too often? Again, outside of really when Cam Newton signed with the Patriots? Bill Belichick. How come right now in this breakup that has happened, is it possible that actually both parties have mutually benefited? Both parties are better off without each other. Again, we just talked about how it's rarely mutual. Usually one person is the one that initiates the breakup. Usually they're the ones who are, ready to get back being single. Maybe the person who's broken up with is depressed, doesn't want to see other people. They only want to be with that person. Seeing, their now ex on social media kind of flaunting, having fun, or seeming to have fun, makes it worse. But how about Bill Belichick? Because right now, his glow up seems just as impressive, if not even more impressive, than Tom Brady's. We just don't see it because he's not on social media. But how come now he drops a few subtle hints now? How come he's not getting the same attention for his new, we'll call it lease on life, without Tom Brady? Because Bill Belichick is having subtle signs and showing subtle signs that he is benefiting just as much as Tom Brady is from a change of scenery. Now, obviously, Bill Belichick's still in New England, both a new quarterback. Number one, here's one of the first signs that you can really see that is a different Bill Belichick. He is more energized. You hear him talk about Cam Newton. I'm going to play here a Cam Newton clip in a second. You hear him talk about Cam Newton, the impact he has, the hard worker he is. Bill Belichick never talks about any player on his own team this way. Here's Bill Belichick. He's on the NFL Network Radio on SiriusXM, last week. Here's Belichick talking about Cam Newton's work ethic.
He's here early, he stays late, and he works very hard. Some players like to work on things that they're good at, like if you're strong on a bench press and you just keep throwing more weight on the bench. But Cam's the type of player that, works on things that he's not as good at and really tries to improve on a daily basis. And that's something that, I really respect about him.
So, again, okay. Doesn't really sound like a lot, right? It's not gushing praise. He's not going above and beyond to really praise Cam Newton and the impact he's had. But let me ask you this. For Bill Belichick, in terms of Bill Belichick, his personality, his persona, the way he talks to the media, when has he ever talked about a player on his own team like that? Ever. Ever. Can someone pull me a clip of the last time he talked about Tom Brady like that? Honestly, I can't remember the last time he gave a compliment to Tom Brady. Seriously, I'm being dead serious. 20 years. He's never really raved about Tom Brady, talked about his work ethic, talked about his leadership, talked about working on his flaws. So it's a small snippet. He still sounds a little more energetic, but for the most part, it's the same monotone voice. Oh, we were on this Kansas City, he plays really well. We're just trying to do the best for the football team. It's a little more energetic than that. But that is, in Bill Belichick's world, that is gushing praise for a player on his own team. He reserves that sort of compliment, that sort of, what's the word I'm looking for here, expanding on a player for the opposing team. He will rave about the upcoming opponent. This quarterback does this really well. I really respect his game. It's going to be a really tough challenge for us. He never talks that much. He never gives that much praise. He never expounds on one player's strengths on his own team ever. Ever. And here he is talking about Cam Newton gushing in Bill Belichick's world. And with relative to him and how he is gushing about Cam Newton and what he's brought to the team so far. So that's number one. He's more energized. He's actually talking about players on his own team, and he's talking about Cam Newton in a way he's never talked about Tom Brady before. That's not an accident. Number two, I just saw this for the first time last night. I saw it on social media a few weeks ago, but I saw my first Bill Belichick commercial live on television last night. The guy is doing commercials. He is out there for Subway, cutting sleeves off suits, saying, hey, your best option for lunch right now is a footlong from Subway. Forget just doing commercials. When have we ever seen Bill Belichick in the public eye, not at a press conference, not at a game? Answer, never. That guy hates being seen. Every once in a while, his believe still girlfriend, Linda Holiday, will post an Instagram picture of them two on vacation somewhere. You always get the Bill Belichick 6 rings boat that he has. Other than that, you never see Bill Belichick, again, outside of a press conference, outside of a game. He hates the media. He hates the public life. You will never see him anywhere but those 2 spots in public. Now, what is he doing? Tom Brady leaves. This man is filming Subway commercials. Subway, of all things, by the way. That's not an accident. Normal Belichick is not filming Subway commercials because you know why? He doesn't have time for that. I don't care if it was filmed in February or March or April or May. That guy is game planning something in those times. He is working on the draft. He's working on free agency. He's working on stopping Lamar Jackson. He's working on stopping Patrick Mahomes. He's not doing Subway commercials. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need to be in the public spotlight. He doesn't want to be in the public spotlight. But here he is, advertising for Subway. So he's doing commercials. He's more energized. Now, this is the tough part. Because, they're subtle. Especially that Cam Newton. You really kind of got to, really got to know Bill Belichick, know how he is, knows how he answers questions. Because anything more than 3 words about his football team is a lot. Any answer more than we're doing what's best for the football team when discussing a position, when discussing a player, it's like he's writing a novel. You never hear it. Excuse me. Now he's raving about Cam Newton. He's doing Subway commercials. This is not your average Bill Belichick. He is enjoying the breakup just as much as Tom Brady is. He is benefiting just as much as Brady. Brady does it in the more public light on Instagram where he has a lot more followers and he has more where we could see him. But low-key, Bill Belichick is benefiting just as much. Maybe he's enjoying life. He's reinvigorated now that Tom Brady's gone. He's the underdog for really the first time in his career. And it looks like he's enjoying that role. Now, here's the major question. Will this translate into a successful season? With Cam Newton as your quarterback, can you win the AFC East for the 17th time in 18 years? Can you make a playoff run? Can you upset the Ravens or the Chiefs? Get to an AFC title game? Can you have even a better record than the Buccaneers? Those are the questions I still doubt. It's Bill Belichick. He seems to be enjoying life for the first time ever. This is the same guy. He wins a Super Bowl. The guy wins a Super Bowl. He's on the podium, accepting the Lombardi Trophy, and he talks about, we're really behind on draft prep. These other teams have been off now for a month. They are way ahead of us in scouting. They know all the players we need to catch up on. We basically have to go back to work tomorrow. This is a guy who hates joy. He hates celebrating. This guy is at a Super Bowl parade chanting no days off. No days off. This guy hates basking in success. He hates doing anything that is not preparing for opponents, watching film, or reading scouting reports. He doesn't do anything else. Takes one fishing trip a year to Nantucket. Other than that, he's back in the lab, designing new defenses, scouting out players that come from Division III schools to be the next All-Pro. Yet here he is, doing commercials, being in the public eye, smiling. It does, I'm not going to lie, it does make me rethink my AFC's prediction. Because I'm really interested to see what a relaxed, fun-having Bill Belichick is like. Not to mention, by the way, half his defense opted out. You think that you're busy enough now in a regular season? How about when your best linebacker opts out? How about when your best safety lines out, opts out. By the way, a few other players left in free agency. It's a whole rebuild on the defense. But here's Bill Belichick, seeming for the first time ever, coming off a playoff disappointment, coming off your quarterback for 2 decades, going somewhere else. He seems to be enjoying life for the first time, maybe free of the Tom Brady reigns, maybe happier that Tom Brady left than Tom Brady is leaving New England. And we'll see what that translates to on the field. Again, I'm still picking the Bills to win the AFC East. I'm still very skeptical that Cam Newton can stay healthy to be successful this year. But I think it's really interesting that we've talked a lot about Tom Brady. We've put a lot of hype on the Bucs. I think we talked about how Tom Brady fits in in Tampa Bay. But yet we neglect Bill Belichick and the things he's been doing that are abnormal for him. We are so used to Bill Belichick to being ho-hum, barely hear what you're saying because he's mumbling some sort of press conference. He is monotone whether he has the best day of his life or the worst day of his life. Here he is showing emotion, showing some personality that he's never done before. I think it's worth watching. I think it could lead to some real success in New England, but that's more just a wild card spot. So I'm curious this year. I'm curious in your mind. You see Bill Belichick doing commercials. You see him raving about Cam Newton. Really seems to be bought in on Cam Newton. Does that equal an AFC Championship game this year? Will that equal a better record? Who will have the better record this year, Tom Brady or Bill Belichick? I'm still going Brady. I'm still giving the Bucs that advantage. But I think it's interesting. For the first time, we are seeing Bill Belichick not be himself. And I wonder what that equals on the field, if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So I'm curious your thoughts. Will the Patriots win the AFC East? I still say no. Who will have a better record this year? Bill Belichick at the Patriots, Tom Brady at the Buccaneers. I'm still going Brady and the Buccaneers. But I'm curious after listening to this, after seeing Bill Belichick's commercial, does that change your opinion at all on the New England Patriots? So we'll do that. We'll get your thoughts when we come back. And also when we come back, the NFL hates allowing for competitive advantages. They try to level the playing field as much as any league in professional sports. But why are they allowing one egregious, one obvious competitive disadvantage that they're overlooking? Tell you what that is when we end the show here. It is the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You've got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You've got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You've got to pump it up, don't you know?
We hope you're pumping it up on this Labor Day Monday. Hopefully you had a great Labor Day weekend. Sad, very sad that unfortunately with Labor Day weekend comes the end of summer. I was just telling one of my friends, Luke, before, the seasonal depression is honestly already starting to set in. I woke up Saturday morning, little tiny chill in the air. I'm like, uh-oh, it's starting. It's coming. The sun is starting to set later. And it's like, uh-oh. Pretty soon, it's going to get cold. It's going to get dark. And by November, it is just flat out depressing. Football at least helps, to ease the depression, ease the sadness that comes with winter setting in. But as a Penn State fan, no Big Ten football for myself this year. Still college football, especially this weekend. ACC and the Big 12, 2 of the Power 5 conferences still playing or kicking off, and the SEC it will kick off in a few more weeks. But this weekend you have ACC football, Big 12 football. So that helps a little bit. But still, a seasonal depression is starting to kick in for sure. So do want to end the show talking about pumping it up, because the NFL is blatantly overlooking and basically dissing the fans. They're allowing for a legitimate competitive disadvantage that they work so hard year in, year out to prevent. And that is fans in the stands. Now, obviously, because of COVID, because of the pandemic, each really local state government, local government makes their own rules upon gatherings. So right now, as it is, Some teams will have fans, mostly others won't. 6 teams in the NFL currently right now will in some capacity have fans in their building to start the season, excuse me. A lot of teams will reevaluate, once October comes, but currently 6 teams are set to have fans in their stands for the first home game, including the Chiefs this Thursday night. Chiefs have about 16,000 fans, give or take, for their banner unveiling and for their first game against the Texans. Roger Goodell last week, when he was asked about whether a competitive disadvantage would come about from having some teams having fans, others not having fans, he said, quote, "We do not believe it's a competitive advantage. We discussed it very early on with our competition committee and with our clubs. We do not see that." So Roger Goodell, in his mind, there is no competitive advantage for some teams having fans, other teams having no fans. And I couldn't disagree more. I can't believe the NFL is allowing this to happen. I understand. It's not a lot of fans, right? Like I said, the Chiefs are having 16,000. So far, it seems the biggest crowd that's going to be in a stadium could be the Cowboys, where they haven't announced the capacity yet, but the state of Texas is allowing up to 50% capacity, which for the Cowboys would be about 40,000. Jerry Jones said he wouldn't go 50, maybe he's thinking about 40. So the Cowboys could have, let's just say 30, 35,000 fans in their stadium for week 2. That is an advantage. A big one or not, it's an advantage. And the NFL, this is what I don't get. The NFL has tried their best year after year after year to level the playing field. They love parity, and there has been a ton of parity in the NFL. Think about the rules they've implemented to ensure that there is an equal playing field. Number one, if a team's headset, during the game, if it goes out, whether it's a Wi-Fi issue, whether it's a connection issue, whether it's a battery issue, if their headsets go out, the other team the other team can't use their headsets until the teams who are having the problems, it's fixed. So in New England, we see it a lot happen for whatever reason. Well, we know the reason. Let's not be naive here. We know the reason why headsets for the opposing team tend to go out more than other stadiums. But when that happens, the Patriots can't use their own headsets until the other team's is fixed. So they prevent competitive advantages in that way. Injury reports, same thing. You can't hide injuries. If a player is injured, he has to go in the injury report. You have to report it, and you have to determine probable, questionable, doubtful, out. They create the injury reports so teams cannot have a competitive advantage saying, oh, this guy's really hurt, he's not going to play, wink, wink, and then all of a sudden he's on the field looking great. Or you can't hide an injury. So, yeah, this guy's 100%, he's feeling great, the team's game playing for it, and then he comes out and plays 2 snaps. Not to mention, just look at the schedule. The NFL schedules teams based upon your win percentage. If you finish first in the AFC East, you will play the first place winner in the AFC South, the AFC North, and the AFC West. So they put a lot of triggers in their game in one way or another to ensure that no team has a competitive advantage. The best team who game plans the best, has the best players, executes the best, wins more times than not. But yet here we are. The NFL is allowing some fans in, some fans out. And whether you want to say it or not, it's an advantage. Sean McDermott, the Bills head coach, believes so. Mike Zimmer, the Vikings head coach, believes so. And here's why. Even if the crowds aren't at capacity, right? Even if they're at 20%, 25%. So not filled, not a lot of people there. 16,000 fans for the Chiefs. It's a lot different than a sold-out Arrowhead Stadium. But it's still noise. You still have to prepare for humans being in the stadium, and you still have to prepare for adjusting to crowd noise. Now, more than ever, because there's not a lot of fans here, we see it with baseball and with basketball as well. You hear everything now. Sure, maybe it'd be tougher to hear the fans in the upper deck, but those fans in the lower bowl, if they're screaming at you, if they're cursing at you, you hear them. Now, whether you want to say, block it out or not, these players are human beings. You hear stuff. Some things get under your skin. Some players are better at dealing with heckling than others. It's just a fact. It's just human nature. Some players are better at tuning out the fans and chirping than others. So now you're going to have opposing teams who aren't allowed to have fans at their own stadium. They have to prepare for fans at the team that they're going to stadium. You have to prepare for it. And in doing so, Time is being taken away from the offense, from the defense, from special teams, from game planning, because you have to implement, hey, how are we going to get ready for the crowd noise? It's not a lot. Trust me, it's not what you're used to. Don't get me wrong. But it's still something. It's still something you have to vote a little bit amount of time to that the other team is not. The Bills have to prepare to go on the road to, let's say, play the Chiefs. But if the Chiefs were to come to Buffalo, guess what? The Chiefs don't have to worry about home field advantage, or I should say worrying about a home field, worrying about crowd control, because it doesn't exist. So again, 6 teams are only having fans for the first month of the season. That's still teams that have to prepare for noise that other teams don't have to. Taking extra time away from the game plan to prepare for fans in the stands. And not just this. I want you also to take into account. I'll finish up with this. Since March, since the pandemic has taken a stranglehold not only in the world, but especially in the U.S., what have we been told to do? What have we heard the phrase the most? Social distance. Social distancing. Don't be too close to people. Keep your distance. Obviously, wear a mask, wash your hands. We all heard all that. One of the biggest ways to prevent the virus from spreading, avoid crowds, basically avoid people. That's what we've been told since March. So let's be honest here. I'll take this for a human level for just 1 second here. You've been hearing since March, stay away from people, stay away from people, stay away from people. Shelter in place in most states, right? Bars are closed, restaurants are closed, malls are closed. You're basically confined to your home. Going to practice is the first time you'll be around a large group of men, a large group in general. So sure, 16,000 fans at Arrowhead Stadium is not a lot. It is not the same impact that a sold-out Arrowhead Stadium would be. I understand that. But also, think of it. This is the first time these players are going to a place where there's a crowd. I understand you're professional players. You are used to yelling and screaming from fans. But this is the first time in your life that you are now going to an environment where you are not used to being around other people. You are not used to hearing people talk to you from a close distance, yell at you, scream at you. It's different. Right? If you were all of a sudden go to a concert, even if it's socially distanced, even if now you see in the UK, they have these concerts, they build these platforms, and you are with your group, but, let's say there's 30,000 people, but you're all within your group, so you're not in a mob like you're used to. You're socially distanced, but you're still with 30,000 people. It's going to be different. The concert experience, the first time you go to a concert, the first time you go to a sporting event, is going to be a lot different because you are not used to being around that many people. So it is different going to a game where sure there's only 10,000 fans or 20,000 fans. But you're not used to seeing that large group of people in one area for the last almost, 9 months now. 8 months. It will have an impact. It is a competitive advantage for those teams that have fans in their stadium. I don't care what Roger Goodell says. I don't care what the competition committee says. It is a competitive advantage. And I can't believe the NFL is allowing it to happen. I really can't. They preach. No team has a competitive advantage. Everything is a level playing field. Yet here they are saying, fans, you can come in if you want. I understand why they're doing it. It's a strictly money grab. Let's not lose the intention of why they're doing it. We know why they're doing it. But from a game perspective, from a game integrity perspective, I can't believe there's no unified rule. To me, until every stadium can have fans in it, no stadium should have fans in it. That's my thought. Make it equal. Make it level. Don't have these different settings for different teams in not only different states, in the same division. Dolphins can have fans in the stands, but the Bills, the Jets, and the Patriots can't. Doesn't make sense. I honestly don't understand why the NFL is allowing this to happen. It is definitely a competitive advantage for teams allowing fans in the stadium. But that's just me. So that's going to do it for this Monday, this Labor Day edition of the Ryan Hickey Show. We do appreciate you tuning in wherever you are. Hopefully you enjoyed your Labor Day weekend. Hopefully you're finishing up strong. Again, enjoying going to the beach, having a barbecue. If you have a boat, jealous, enjoy the boat. Enjoy if you're going on a hike. Just whatever you're doing outdoors, enjoy it. You all deserve it. We all worked hard, especially during this year more than ever. Enjoy the time off, relax, have a great time. And this time on Thursday, crazy enough to think, we will be previewing some NFL and college football games. Really, really, really excited. Can't believe it's here. Can't believe it's here. So enjoy the rest of your Labor Day weekend. Enjoy your week. We will talk to you Thursday to talk some real NFL. The next time we'll have a show, there will be NFL games that night. So enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe. As always, stay sane. We'll talk to you on Thursday right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Radio Network.